Well, good morning. Welcome aboard the lifeboat. Hello, YouTube. This is Captain Calhoun speaking. You're on the lifeboat. Hello, hello. Happy hump day, right? Happy Wednesday, everybody. How you guys doing? How you guys doing? Really excited for today's show. This is right here in our wheelhouse. And I don't want to lead you astray. We are going to talk a little bit about the past, a little about the present, and a little about the future. But mainly, we're going to talk about shame and guilt today, guys. One of your favorites, one of my favorites at least. Bayou Babe, good morning. Dale Cox, Beta, hello, hello. What's going on? Good to see you guys. Well, happy hump day. Hope the week is going well for everyone. And we're going to talk about shame and guilt, like I was saying. And I know in the past when we've talked about this subject, Flick Fox says, "Where are you?" Well, I turned my desk around. This is just the one angle of my apartment y'all haven't seen yet. This is one of 3 orientations that we've had so far. And I think I like this one the best. This one feels good. Although the laundry basket in the background, I had to take the trash out because there was like a trash bag sitting back there. I had to kind of doctor it up for you guys. Mars, good morning. Linda Bennett, hello, hello. Sandra Harris, how you doing? Managed to catch a live. Well, heck yeah, I'm glad you're here. Shame and guilt. In the past, when we've talked about this subject, I always talk about turning your shame into guilt, right? Because that's the first step. But I don't think that we spend enough time talking about that process, what exactly that entails, how we can go about liberating ourselves of shame. And you guys know the difference between shame and guilt, right? Sent 7 bottles of tincture, Dale. Sweet deal. I'll be on the lookout. James Collins, good morning. Yeah, I like the new setup. This microphone is somehow magically just like right in front of my behemoth poster over here. But we're going to leave it there because that's really where I like it as far as the layout. That's where the microphone belongs. I wonder if you guys could hear that scraping on the brick because I kind of moved it across the brick there. I do not expect it to look like that, says Flick. I had a very fixed image in my head and now it's confused. Well, maybe we'll turn it around. I think there's a 4th direction we haven't had, facing this way, right? This wall. I don't think that would be very revealing, but I got some like exercise equipment back there in that little dark hallway, and then there's a bedroom, and that's pretty much it. It's not very big. But yeah, we're going to talk about at length, in detail, what it means to turn your shame into guilt, right? And again, we all know the difference between shame and guilt, right? Shame is I'm a bad person for something that I did. In fact, I'm pretty sure I have it written down here in my notes. Understand the difference between shame and guilt, right? Shame is a deeply personal feeling of bad or unworthy as a person. It focuses on your identity and your self-worth. Example, I'm such a terrible person for forgetting their birthday. Now, if you're like me, you've probably said this to yourself, but let's go ahead and try to not say that stuff to ourselves anymore because we're not a terrible person for forgetting a birthday. Forgetting a birthday is absolutely normal. Everyone has one. That's going to be irritating. Please hold. I can't complain about the leaf blower guys too much today because there's a ton of leaves on the ground out there. They're getting their money's worth today. But anyways, hopefully that's not too loud. And I was saying shame and guilt. Forgetting people's birthday is normal, right? That's just one example. But you're not a bad person, right? For making a mistake regardless of what the mistake is. Guilt, as opposed to shame, is a feeling of remorse or responsibility for a specific action. It focuses on behavior but not identity, right? This mistake isn't who I am, right? This doesn't define me as it would if I was feeling shame, eh? And honestly, we allow shame to live and thrive within us. We feed into these thoughts of I am a bad person. I am, not worthy. My identity is somehow attached to my mistakes, right? And I don't think that that's necessarily the truth. I don't think that that serves us very well. And if that is the case, which I imagine with plenty of you it is, right? I mean, that's how it is with me. This is something I have to consciously work on, right? I can't just kind of go through life. Um, in order to not have shame, right? Shame has no place with an addict. And if you are an addict, you probably have some shame. So let's do our best to oust that crap, right? Jasmine, good morning. Crucial Flow Research, I love your name. Sid Green, welcome back, brother. Good to see you. Crucial Flow Research. I just love that name so much. I was farting around this morning and came across some fire and flow photos. That always gets me excited. But yeah, let's take some steps to transform shame into guilt, huh? The first step is to identify the emotion. We're going to acknowledge when we're feeling shame, right? If you start feeling like unworthy, if you start feeling like shouldn't have done that, now I'm in deep poop, whatever the case is, acknowledge when you're feeling these thoughts. Reflect on these thoughts reflect on the thoughts that emphasize I'm bad or I'm worthless, right? Because those are the ones that matter. Those are the ones that we're trying to get rid of because you're not bad and you're not worthless. In fact, your worth is unique. Not only do you have immense worth, but no one else has the worth that you have because we're all unique. We're all different. We all have our strengths and our weaknesses. No one can match your worth. We set our own value. Anyways, I digress. Sanitarium Radio, Millie the Dandelion. What's going on, guys? I hope you have a great day at work, Millie. Shout out to any other boaters out there at work right now tuning in on the low. I appreciate you guys. And when and if we identify these emotions, why don't we go ahead and write them down? I know that journaling is everyone's favorite pastime. It's everyone's favorite tool that we have. It's not really. In fact, for a lot of people, I think it's a difficult hurdle. But the benefits of journaling are immense. And one of the benefits of journaling is logging our emotions and our thoughts, right? At certain periods of time. And if we're trying to work through our shame and our guilt, let's write down when we're feeling shame, right? Let's write down when we're feeling guilty. Often shame hides behind feelings of inadequacy or unworthiness. Let that sink in. Shame may or may not be hiding behind my feelings of inadequacy or my feelings of unworthiness, right? My lack of self-worth. I feel like that music is really loud too. Hold on, sorry guys. I just need the background noise or my brain goes crazy. And the speaker will go down one more notch than the phone will if I hit the button on the speaker, which is really stupid. Really stupid. Mars says, so true. We set our own value. Yeah, we teach other people how to treat us, eh? And now you're going to understand, if you don't already, why we've been talking so much about shifting your perspective, shift the narrative, right? Once we write these things down, once we acknowledge these emotions and these thoughts, we want to reframe our thoughts from focusing on myself to focusing on my actions, right? From I'm a failure because I made a mistake to I made a mistake and I can learn from it, right? All of these mistakes are just hurdles, they're just opportunities to move forward, eh? And this also is intrinsically tied to shame and guilt. One, right? What we're changing it from, I'm a failure because I made a mistake, that's shame. We're going to change that to I made a mistake and I can learn from it, right? The self-talk that you have, how you speak to yourself is immensely important because it largely feeds into how you feel about yourself, your self-esteem, your self-worth, your value. That's also why we talk so much about forging a relationship with oneself, because that is going to be the meat and potatoes of your recovery, eh? Whether or not you're an addict. Personally, ask yourself, what did I do? How did it affect others? This shift creates space for accountability without self-condemnation, which is self-condemnation is what we're trying to avoid, right? That's what shame is doing. We're condemning ourselves. So what did I do? How did it affect others? Let's create a space in our head and in our hearts to think and look at this thing without self-condemnation. Ants, that's right, by you, babe. That's right, that's right. James Collins Cares says, Nelson Mandela said, I never lose. I either win or I learn something. And I love that. I didn't know he said that. That's a wonderful quote. I have to put that on the quote wall. Give me just a minute here as I do so. Because if I don't put them on the quote wall, then I don't ever remember them. And quotes are pretty sweet, guys. I'm a big fan of quotes. Alrighty. Favorite quote from him? I'm sure he's not lacking with pretty great quotes either. He's probably one of those guys that has a has a billion great quotes. Practice self-compassion, right? Forging a relationship with ourselves, learning to love ourselves in a different way, in a new way, learning to love ourselves for the first time, maybe, right? Practicing self-compassion is going to be a driving force, regardless of your journey. Self-love, I think, is necessary for a wholesome, happy life. Linda Bennett says, I felt a lot of shame because of childhood abuse, which led to my drinking. Now I feel guilt because I hurt my children. Well, I tell you what, guilt is fine, right? That's a valid emotion. And I want to say shame is valid, right? We feel things for a reason. But I think that shame is just supposed to teach us a lesson, because if we hold on to it, just like any emotion, it becomes rotten, right? And it kind of rots us from the inside out. So I'm really glad that you're feeling guilt with the kids, right? Because and I'm not trying to say that guilt's good. It's just way better than shame, right? You're not a bad person. You were doing your best, right? Even if your best, I mean, today's best isn't yesterday's, and it damn sure isn't tomorrow's. Your best is what it is, right? So I think it seems like you're on a good path. It's nice to meet you, Linda. And you're not alone either. I have felt a lot of shame as well. And I would say, rather than abuse in my case, I would say due to neglect. Um, I don't know if I would consider the things that I went through abuse. They could definitely be construed that way. But you're definitely not alone. I feel a ton of shame from my past, the things that I've done, the things that were done to me, etc. And those things do not define us as people. It's how we move forward. It's what we're doing right here in this moment that defines us. We all have choices, right? And the choices never stop. I was zoning out and that whistle got me straight back. That's literally what I'm doing for myself. My brain starts to wander and I'll whistle and bring it back. It's very strange. I didn't realize that until recently, that that's what that's doing. These are various helpful, succinct words, says Sid. I'm old, 67, and time becomes an issue. I tell you what, I feel like the older I get, and I'm only 32, time moves faster and faster and faster. And I think that that's like a time dilation effect, because when you're young, you've only had this much time to reference, right? Well, now I'm 32 and I've lived 32 years, right? So time seems measured differently because of the amount of time that I've. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm explaining that very well, but I feel like time moves faster the older I get because I have a larger reference point. So this moment seems smaller and smaller and smaller in comparison. That was a much better explanation. The Arabian Bard. Hello, good morning. Crucial Flow says I'm 32 also. Heck yeah. Getting some my age folks around. That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. By the way, if anyone talks to Izzy E, tell her that I send my best. I haven't been able to get a hold of her recently. I've been wondering about her. I'm sure she's all right, but you wonder about your friends. So practicing self-compassion, that's where we were just at, huh? Recognize that being imperfect is human. It's like the most human quality you could have is not being perfect, right? Forgive yourself for your flaws and your mistakes. We all make them, right? And again, they do not define us. There's no reason for us to carry this shame into the great beyond, right? We may carry some guilt, and guilt's a lot easier to deal with. It's a lot easier to work through because you're not condemning yourself, right? Use kind language when speaking to yourself as you would a friend, right? You are a friend to yourself, are you not? So speak to yourself kindly. Example, everyone forgets things sometimes. It doesn't mean I'm a bad person, right? And I think this is referencing our earlier example of forgetting a birthday, right? It's pretty normal, basically, right? Everyone forgets things. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. James Collins says we are like plants. If you don't give plants proper nutrition and soil and growing conditions, it will grow but not to its maximum potential. You can amend the soil and move the plant, and it thrives. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, we are all just animals, right? And I guess a plant isn't an animal, but we all need nutrition, sleep, right? We all need some things to be cognitive, to be our best selves. That's what we're doing here, says James. We are amending our soil and changing locations so we can thrive. Hell yeah, dude. I love that. Thank you. Thank you for those words. And I'm always talking about the present moment, right? It's in the thumbnail, it's in the title. Why is that? Why is it so important? Well, I have spent a lot of time getting trapped in thoughts of the past or thoughts of the future. And I can't really do anything with those thoughts. I can learn lessons from them, right? And I can kind of plan for the future. But at the end of the day, the present moment is the only thing that I have effect over, right? I'm always talking about it. Focus on the action. Well, actions happen in the present, don't they? Guilt arises when you see the impact of your actions on others. Reflect on the consequences of what you did or didn't do. Um, Being conscious of how our actions are affecting others is also going to be a nice foundation for moving forward, right? When I, this is going to be an interesting statement. When I first started paying attention to how my actions were affecting others, I was not a young man. You know what I mean? This is something that I had to become conscious of. I just wasn't always conscious of it, which is strange, right? You would think I would be thinking of other people, but some of us might need to come to the table. We might not just be at it. Robin Miners, good morning. Lovely Wednesday, isn't it? Avocado 4, what's going on? Hello, please call me Tony. Very nice to see you today. Hello, Tony. I hope I'm not butchering your name all the time. Jasmine says, I'm pretty new in recovery. My husband passed away in February, and I'm struggling with not being able to make things right for the way I treated him during our relationship. Horrible feeling. Are you saying that you feel guilty for the way that you treated him while he was with us? Is that that is I think that's what I'm hearing. I'm glad you're here, Jasmine, and I really I thank you for sharing. It can't be easy thing to share, right? But 100%, I think that he would want you to forgive yourself, right? He loved you. I don't think that he's wherever he is in the afterlife, the next life. I don't know. We probably shouldn't talk about that kind of stuff. But whatever's become of him, I don't think that he would want you to live in shame. I don't think he would want you to feel like that. That's just my 2 cents. Only one who stayed in your corner. He sounds like a stand-up guy. He sounds like a stand-up guy that really, really loved you, Jasmine. And I feel like you were blessed to have him. You know what I mean? Promise me you're not going to spend the rest of your life beating yourself up for how you treated him. I'm sure that wasn't the only interactions that y'all had. I'm sure that may have been some moments and some instances, right? I encourage you to focus on the good times, right? The good memories. I encourage you to try and remember some beautiful things that y'all did together, right? Rather than focusing on those negative times, right? Those times where our best wasn't so great. That's just my 2 cents. Yes, let's get some ones up, huh? You guys are way ahead of me here. And for those of you that are new, ones are how we express love, care, prayers, support. It's our non-divisive language, right? Because if I say, we're going to pray for you, some people don't like that. So we use the ones to make it non-divisive language, right? This is just us thinking about you, sending you our best. I love coffee. I keep getting different notes of flavor out of this coffee. That quesadilla place across the street is really delicious. Who would have known their coffee would be good? Recognize how you would feel if someone else did the same thing to you, right? We're back to focusing on our action. Reflect on the consequences of what we did or didn't do. Now, recognize how you would feel if someone else did the same thing to you. This builds empathy and focuses your thoughts on the act rather than your character, right? Because it's not about your character. It's about the actions, right? It's about the decisions that we're making. Put some tincture in it. I don't think I have anything on my desk right now. Um, and I don't know. I don't know if my tummy's up for it. I'm pretty sure I'm going to eat a tube of terror here coming up pretty soon. Maybe I should put some tincture in it. I'll think about it. I've been hesitant lately, man. My Yeah, that part of my body hasn't been functioning very well. I tell you what, it's been giving me trouble. The next thing I have written here, what's for breakfast, Banks? Says Cindy G. Well, I haven't eaten it yet. I think I'm gonna make pancakes today. It's been like a week since I had pancakes, so we're probably gonna pancake it up. I'm a big fan of the pancakes. What about you? What about you, Cindy G? What are you gonna have? Or what have you had already? You probably beat me to it. James Collins says, wonderful words from James all the time. I just am so grateful for James' presence. Each of you carry strength in your story. By sharing them, we all gain wisdom to grow ourselves and become a stronger version of ourselves. Thank you for giving us strength to all of you. Couldn't have said it better myself. And I have this thought daily for sure. There is definitely a ton of sugar in the syrup. That's part of the fun, I think. But probably not good for me. Brianna Miller's having lasagna and Sunny D, the breakfast of champions. When I was a senior in high school, I think I was in a typing class or like a computer something class, and my computer whatever teacher made a joke one morning about the breakfast of champions. And he said it was beer and cereal. And I never forgot that. Never ever forgot that. I don't know if that's I mean, it was pretty funny, but I don't know if I don't know how appropriate that was. Chicken liver with tincture all over it. Quite the palate you have there, Dale. Quite the palate. I like pie for breakfast, Flick, but I don't know about ice cream. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Good to see you, Brianna. I'm glad you made it. Glad you made it in. What are we talking about? Taking responsibility, builds empathy, blah, 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 blah. Okay, we're taking responsibility now, right? We focused on the action, reflecting on consequences of our actions. We're building empathy, focusing our thoughts on our actions and not our character, right? So now we're going to take responsibility. Acknowledge the specific action or behavior that caused harm or discomfort, right? Let's acknowledge it. It's real. We're not denying it, right? I'm not making excuses. I'm not dodging responsibility. I stepped in this and I'm sorry. I did this thing and it wasn't my intention, or I was just trying to have this effect. I'm sorry that, whatever. Say to yourself, I made a mistake. I need to make amends, right? It's that simple. And when I say it's that simple, it's obviously more complicated than it's easier said than done. But at the same time, it's not rocket science. I made a mistake. I'm going to make amends, right? I'm going to try and make it right. That's what amends are. Chris, what's going on? Liver is actually a vitamin or supplement. It's so fortified with minerals. 100%. 100%. This is fact. Responsibility empowers you to change and to repair, right? Responsibility has been something that I've shied away from most, if not my entire life. And I don't know why that is. I'm scared of having to do things, right? I don't want to have to do anything. That's always been a theme in my life. I want to do what I want to do, right? I guess that's everybody though. But I have to say, upon taking responsibility and stepping into a more responsible role in my own life, has changed me forever and for the better. For the better. With great responsibility. Wait, I forget that quote, but with great responsibility comes some other things. One of which is more sovereignty, right? You have more freedom and direction over your own life when you take responsibility for stuff. When I was shying away from responsibility, it certainly seemed like my grip on the wheel wasn't so good. Like if I wanted to steer the ship to the right, we may or may not make that turn. But as I take more responsibility, as I take more charge of my own life, the good and the bad, I 100% feel like I'm directing my life more effectively. Like I have a say in what's going on. And that I think is the main benefit that I've noticed from taking more responsibility. In taking responsibility, I am taking my life into my own hands. When I'm trying to shirk these responsibilitas, um, instead of driving my life forward, I'm driving it into the ground, right? Or I'm letting go of the wheel. Responsibility is totally akin to being in charge of my life. At least for me. I don't know if this will be for you, but Annika, good to see you. Aaron Cooper. There's a song that says that. Interesting. I would love to hear it. You know I love music. Gail Raishan, welcome in. I love adventures. Just got back from a 3-month adventure to Michigan from Arizona. Well, heck yeah, dude. That sounds great. How was the snowy Michigan? Did you leave after or before the snow showed up? Mars asks, is disliking having to do something an ADHD trait? It may be. That is an interesting thought you're having there, Mars. That very well may be. I am as ADHD as they come. Yep, choosing to do things rather than having to. And it could be the same exact thing, but if I choose to do it, it's a world of difference. I'm like terminally sovereign. You know what I mean? If I'm not driving the boat, nobody is. And that's just like a sentiment that's like deep in my heart. And I have to wrestle with it sometimes. I have to make myself do stuff or make myself want to do stuff, right? Convince myself, trick myself. Hope between the dreams. Good morning. I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for asking. I hope, how are you doing? I've heard Sedona is beautiful. I have some friends that have some family in Sedona, um, but I've never been. Right on Lake Huron? Heck yeah, dude. That's way cool. Got out of Arizona for the summer. Oh, well, it is definitely much better weather. I went and took the trash out this morning wearing a short sleeve and pants, and it was a little chilly. It was a little chilly. Yeah, Mars, absolutely. Mars says, thank you for the positive spin. I struggle with that lately. This positive spin technique, this positive spin ninjutsu is the foundation, one of the foundations of my recovery, man. And if you can learn to flip that script and just kind of change the perspective, put the eyeballs on the other side of the room or whatever you want to call it, it will serve you very well. And it's not something that comes necessarily naturally. It's something we got to work on, right? And this, what we've been talking about today with the shame and the guilt, ties directly into this perspective switch. Um, all of the things that we talk about kind of all go together. So we just do the rounds. But what was I just talking about? Positive spin, shifting the narrative. Yeah, reframe your thoughts from focusing on yourself to the actions, and all of this narrative shift, flipping the script on your own thoughts and perspective is a superpower, if you ask me. And it was this knowledge was handed to me from one of my old hippie friends. I call him that, but I don't know if he would call himself that. But regardless, it's a descriptor, and I'm grateful for the knowledge. It seems like a life hack to me. It certainly makes things simpler if I can effectively do so. I've been feeling inspired to pick up my guitar and learn a new song, and I haven't felt that way in years, years. So I'm hoping to actually get some headway on that. I think my brain is healing. I'm gonna digress and scroll off for a second. We still have some more shame and guilt to get through, but I want to talk about my journey for a second. I recently passed a year and 10 months on November 24th. What was my year 10 months? Is that correct? Year and 9 months. Year and 9 months. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. February 24th, 2023, 2022. I was told there would be no math. I was told there would be no math. And I'm not going to do any more math. But that being said, I have a small amount of sobriety, right? Kind of just getting into it, into the meat and potatoes, that is. And that being said, I feel like my brain is coming back to the light. And I don't mean that I've had a, well, maybe I do mean that. What I mean by that is that my brain seems to be working better and better, and not just like cognitively, but my reward system, right? My feelings, whether I'm depressed or happy, whether I have motivation or not. All of these things seem to be improving immensely, especially over the past like week and a half. I've been feeling crazy good, and often, especially for like the last year and a half, I've been feeling how I'm feeling. Like I'll wake up how I wake up, and there's not a whole lot that I can do about it, right? And maybe I shouldn't say there's not a whole lot I can do about it, because we talk about the things that we can do about it every single day. And I bust out these tools every single day. I'm working hard at it. And, for the first year and a half, I experienced some success. These things changed the way I was feeling. They served their purpose, but it was a constant struggle and a constant battle, right? I kept having to reassert my dominance over these things, over these tools, over these parts of myself, over these parts of my life. And over the past couple weeks, it hasn't felt like such a struggle. Things kind of seem to be just going. And I don't necessarily know why that is. I don't know if that's just my, like, again, my brain healing, right? I smoked a lot of crack, guys. I did a lot of drugs. I've been drinking and drugging since I was 15 consistently. I might have spent a little bit of time here and there, not, right? Maybe like a year, 2 years tops. I think I was sober for 2 years at one point. Um, but I haven't felt the way that I feel now. I can't remember the last time I felt this way. And when I say like how I feel now, like I feel capable. I feel like I've got this. And that hasn't been a feeling that I've had in recent memory. That isn't a feeling I can remember having. In fact, the world has seemed like a big, scary, dark monster that I could not escape. I've just been in its clutches, my whole life. And it doesn't friggin' feel like that anymore. And I cannot tell you how liberating that is. And I want to say that you can feel this way too if you don't. I want to tell you that if you just cross your T's and dot your I's and never give up, that you'll feel this way too. And that may be the case. And that's definitely my hope and my dream, right? That I can spread this feeling, that I can share this knowledge, that I can bring other people to a place of serenity. And when I say bring other people, y'all are going to have to bring yourselves to a place of serenity, right? I can show you the door, but you've got to walk through it. Morpheus was very wise. But that is my hope and my dream. Thanks for listening for a sec, huh? Hope between the dreams says I've been feeling more and more able myself. Isn't it? Isn't it a beautiful thing? There was a while there that I was thinking I might never come out of that. That might just be how things are now, right? And that is a dangerous thought. If you're thinking to yourself, maybe this is just my life now, stomp that thought to death. Just step on that thought and don't take your foot off until that thought stops breathing, because that thought's ruinous. It can get better. It will get better. Carla Norris, what's going on? You made it live. Woo! Oh, speaking of, we do have this here. I don't know if we're celebrating sobriety right this second, but we still have the sobriety celebrator. Good to see you, Carla. I'm glad you made it. Robin Miners is headed to Vancouver. Travel safe. Travel safe, Auntie Robin. There is hope. There is positivity. Yeah, keep the hope. Keep the hope alive. If it's not feeling great right now, if the past little while or the past large while hasn't been feeling that great, keep the faith. Don't give up, right? Keep doing the things that we need to be doing. Keep working on the stuff that needs to be worked on. It is easy to seem I was going to say dauntless. That doesn't go there. It's easy to seem insurmountable. It's easy for it to seem unconquerable, like just so overwhelming. But that's why we break it down into baby steps, little manageable portions, right? Just one thing at a time, just what I'm doing right now, and then after that, what I'm doing right then. Um, and there is hope if we just do this one thing at a time and just keep at it. Don't give up. I won't say that too many more times, but that's the important part. That's the meat and potatoes right there. I could have given up 1,000 times. I felt like giving up countless times, right? We've actually talked about that. I've come on here and actually talked about that. Jasmine says, I'm still under a year. I still feel a little discombobulated. It will get better though. It has got much more clear in comparison to before. And this effect, this much more clear than, in comparison than to before, that's going to continue happening. And in my experience, like everyone's experience is unique. In my experience, like I'll wake up one day and realize, wait a second, things are pretty darn different. It's not like I noticed this gradual buildup and change, right? It's like I'm doing what I'm doing, and then one day it's like, hold on a second, this feels really good. What is wrong with me? It's not something that your friends are going to notice before you do. It's not something that yeah, that's just the nature of the beast, I think. Taking corrective action, we were just kind of talking about amends briefly. Apologize. Apologize. After a genuine apology to anyone you've affected, acknowledging what you did wrong. I said after. Offer a genuine apology. Repair. Take tangible steps to fix the situation if possible. Example, if you forgot a birthday, apologize and make plans to celebrate together. That's pretty straightforward and simple. When I went through the 12 steps and we talked about amends, there were some stipulations. You always want to try and make amends. When we went and did our fearless and searching moral inventory, I remembered the words fearless and searching moral inventory. When we did that, at the end of the day, you needed to go make amends, right? With these people, these businesses, these entities, whatever they were. With the exceptions, right? If you come across something that you've done that you have shame or guilt about and you want to make amends, do so unless doing so will cause more pain or harm, right? If let's say, for example, I have knowledge that a good friend of mine's girlfriend has cheated on them or vice versa or whatever, but like I know that this happened and I kept it to myself. Well, or maybe I cheated, right? Maybe I'm the one that cheated. I got with my friend's girlfriend, hypothetically, right? Let's say that. That's a great example. I would never do this, by the way. I would never do this. But that being said, let's say that I did. Going and telling the homie, right? Coming clean, don't do that. Do not do that. Because what that's going to do is going to cause more harm and pain for that person and probably for this girl that's in the middle, right? Especially like let's say they're married or something. Like this happened years ago. Right now they've got kids, they've got a little family going on, everything's hunky dory. Don't open that can of worms, right? That's one of the stipulations. Like make these amends unless they're going to cause more harm or pain or suffering, right? That's one pretty descriptive, specific example. Another stipulation. I mean, if they're dead, we can't make amends, right? If they have passed on, we can't make amends, right? Well, not necessarily true. In this case, if you need to make amends to someone that you can't contact, you shouldn't contact, anything like that, what we do is we write them a letter and then we don't send it, right? Because especially if they're dead, where you can send it, right? But write a letter as if it were a real letter, like you were going to send it off to this person, and then don't, right? Do something with it. Read it to someone that you have confidence in, right? Read it to yourself. Read it to someone that you know in recovery, or just burn it, throw it away, get rid of it, right? But go through the act of writing this letter, right? Move those emotions around in your heart. Make those amends in your heart, right? And then let it go. And I can't remember, there may be other stipulations. If I remember them, we'll bring them up as they come into my head. But that's what I have for now on the amends. We would like to repair, right? Take tangible steps to fix the situation. And earlier I said offer a genuine apology. It's not enough to say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for doing this. Often, what we've done is probably not like I didn't just step on your new sneakers or something, you know? I didn't burn dinner. You know what I mean? Like it's probably far more impactful than that. Um, so simply saying you're sorry is not the goal. The goal is to make things right. And in making amends, maybe you ask, like, hey, I know I can't fix this, I can't take this back. But if there is any way I can make this right, I would really like to. And I'm sorry. That kind of thing. It's a little bit of a different angle, right? I'm not apologizing just to apologize. I would like to make things right. I would like to make amends truly, right? Brianna Miller says a genuine apology also comes with corrective action. Hitting it on the head right there, hitting the nail on the head. Commit to improving. Reflect on what you'll do differently next time, right? Recognize your growth. I guarantee you, you're experiencing some growth. If you've been showing up to the lifeboat every morning, you are experiencing growth. I think that you're guilty by association at that point. I don't think that you can hang out with us for any extended period of time and not better yourself a little bit, right? Whether you're trying to or not, I think that they say who you surround yourself with, something, 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 and I think that applies here. You like how I did that? I just didn't finish that quote because I don't remember what it is. That's how we're doing things now. Recognize your growth. Guilt can motivate positive change. Appreciate the fact you're willing to reflect and improve. And real quick, I'm still reading about amends. Another way that we can make amends is by living a better life, is by being a better person, right? Is by doing what's right, is by moving forward in love and not hate. That's one way that we can make amends, right? Just be better. And I know I say that like it's so simple. It's a marathon, not a race kind of thing. It's something we're going to constantly have to put pressure on, but it's a wonderful way to make, it's a form of amends, right? Just don't be that person anymore. And again, it's a lot easier said than done. Remind yourself that guilt is a sign of moral integrity. Integrity is so important to me today. It's something that I didn't care about growing up. But integrity means doing what I say I'm going to do, right? Being the same person when people are watching as when people aren't watching. Vice versa. Either way, right? Integral. It shows you care about your actions and their effects. Um, when integrity became important to me, this is when like I started to care about my life, I guess. When I started caring about my words and my actions lighting up, I started caring about where I was going to wind up. Does that make sense? Have a great day at work, Tony. I'm stoked I remembered. Therapy is not cheap, y'all. That's for sure. But also, you can't downplay the benefits of it. All right, now here I have some tips to keep shame at bay. I'll close up with this. We want to challenge our negative beliefs. When you think I'm not good enough, question that thought's validity, right? Is that valid? What evidence supports or refutes me not being good enough? What evidence do I have that I'm not good enough, right? It sounds kind of silly when you try to quantify it, doesn't it? Because you are good enough. That's why. Seek support. Share your feelings with a trusted friend, therapist, counselor. Sometimes speaking openly about shame can reduce its intensity. And I think this goes for pretty much talking about anything really like close to our hearts, anything that's real deep inside. Um, if we speak about it openly, it'll take some of its power away. It'll reduce its intensity, right? It's not a secret anymore. Now everybody knows. I'm sharing it with everyone. And there's something magic about that. That's group therapy, right? That's sharing with the group, peer support. And this might not be able to be measured or quantified, but its effect is immense. Jeremy Fowler, what's going on? You're all good, brother. Glad you made it. Glad you made it. Mindfulness practice. Ooh, I'm probably am going to do a show on mindfulness coming up. I'm not entirely sure yet. I haven't bitten into this apple yet, but I think that a straight up mindfulness episode will be pretty beneficial for us and for all my meditators out there. You'll love it. Digging the new setup, huh? Yeah, I was feeling crowded in here with the desk the way that it was, so it feels much better now. And I have, I think it's kind of interesting. This wasn't planned, but my microphone just kind of magically sits right in front of my behemoth flag, which that's where it belongs, though. Not to cover the flag, but that's just where the mic goes. So it's okay. It's fine. Mind emptiness practice. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Stay present with your emotions. Notice shame without judgment, right? And gently redirect your thoughts to guilt and action. This is interesting. It's important to not judge yourself uh, for feeling shame or guilt, right? Notice shame without judgment. If it's there, it's there. It's okay. We put it there and we can take it away too. It's just fine. Notice shame without judgment. Gently redirect your thoughts to guilt and action, right? It's okay to feel guilty, but shame has no place. There's no reason to feel that way. Well, I shouldn't say that. If we feel that way, there's no reason to continue feeling so. And of course, you can't forget, last but not least, the journal. Writing helps clarify emotions and actions. It can reveal patterns of self criticism that fuel shame. That last part's really important. It can reveal patterns of self criticism that fuel shame. Patterns of self criticism that fuel shame. Is it saying that my negative self talk is why I feel shameful? I think that's what it's saying. I'm pretty sure that's what it's saying. So maybe I should stop feeling shameful, or pardon me, maybe I should stop. What did I just say? I'm losing my mind here. Maybe we should stop being so critical of ourselves, right? Maybe we should start being our own best, biggest, baddest cheerleader instead, right? Maybe we should strive to build ourselves up rather than tear ourselves down. And this starts with consciousness, with being mindful, with being present in the moment. This starts with recognizing when I'm talking down to myself and turning that into talking up about myself, right? Bring yourself up, don't bring yourself down. Be good to yourself. And that's pretty much all that I have, guys. That's pretty much all that I have. What's going on, Barbara? I'm glad you made it. Glad you made it. That's synchronicity, says Chris. I just said there's no shame in condemnation. And we are going to condemn ourselves from time to time. But I think the important part is that we work through that feeling. Vita says, I don't like it when someone apologizes to me just to make themselves feel better, right? A little selfish apology. Love it. Not my favorite either. When someone takes a lot of time to explain their action and asks for forgiveness, I feel pressured to make them feel better, to take care of their emotions, not mine. Just asking how I feel about the situation would be a sincere apology. And when I find myself in this position, Vita, um, it's painfully obvious to me as well that they're looking for me to like validate them or to like make their emotions feel better and like kind of. And that's not what I'm going to do. That's not my job. And also, even if it was my job, I don't think that that serves me or them well. I think that that does the opposite. I shouldn't enable them to not take responsibility. And if I receive an apology like that, I don't regard it as an apology. In fact, I try not to judge people, but they're telling me things about themselves right then. And I get to decide whether or not I want to spend more time with this person, right? And honestly, majority situations, if I'm having an interaction like this, unless we have a large amount of rapport, this isn't a relationship I'm interested in keeping. Whether it's a friend, romantic, whatever, it doesn't matter. Family. If this is how they treat me and this is how they treat themselves, they're not going to make me better. They're probably going to bring me down. And that's okay, right? That doesn't make them a bad person or anything. That's just not something I'm interested in, right? I'm on a different path. Crushik, what's going on? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Did a little I don't want to call it a half a back day, but I did a back day and then didn't see it all the way through yesterday. Feeling a little guilty at this moment, actually, to be honest. But maybe I'll do another half of a back day today, and then we'll top it off with legs, and then I don't have to feel that way anymore, right? A little action. Everyone's responsible for their own feelings, says Jasmine. As long as you're respectful, one big thing I have to focus on. 100%, right? Keep my side of the street clean, and there's a whole lot less to stress about, a whole lot less to worry about, right? A different breed of broken. I was hanging out with my cousins and my aunt the other day, the day after Thanksgiving. And something we used to do when we were kids is put music on in the kitchen and then clean it. And somehow music ended up on in the kitchen and we were all cleaning. And it was like no time had passed. I don't know. I must have been like 9 or 10 when we used to do that kind of thing. And Auntie Scoville turns to me and she says, "You got a pretty good singing voice. You should be a singer." And I was like, "Oh, I don't know about that." And she was all making me blush and stuff. I love them. Super grateful that I get to reconnect with that part of my family. I tell you what. A different breed of broken. There you go. I've been slacking in the gym department. I'm just getting back on the horse. I spent like a week taking a week off, Crushik. So it happens to all of us, man. It happens to all of us. And no one's gonna get me in the gym but me. You feel me? So I don't beat yourself up. You're probably, you got a lot of stuff on your plate or whatever's going on. No big deal. There's always time to go to the gym later, it's no big. Going to the gym or not going to the gym doesn't define us. It's just going to make us feel better, That's all. No big deal. No sweat. Music is the best for cleaning, says Jasmine. Do a little dance while you're at it. I do every time. And it's really hard not to sing. It's really hard not to sing. Matrix Rabbit, it is good to see you. Matrix says I'm broken. You and me both, man. You and me both. I'm sorry you're feeling this way this morning, man. Let's get some ones up for Matrix and anyone else out there that could use a little extra love and help today, huh? What's going on, Matrix? Is Uncle Johnny in here? Rick Spicer, I see you, bro. Good to see you, man. Glad you're here. Blah, 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 blah. All this coffee's kicking in. I might want to go to the gym right this friggin' second, but probably not. All right, guys, hit that like, subscribe, the bell for notifications if you like what we do here. It certainly makes a big difference for us. Thank you for tuning in today. I hope that this episode was helpful. I hope that I was speaking directly to some people in the audience that needed to hear this today. And yeah, I hope that Brianna, me too. Brianna says sometimes I over apologize or apologize for things that I shouldn't. Guess that's the people pleaser in me, you and me both. In fact, this is probably one of my I don't want to call it a weakness, but like this is one of the things that I'm working on the hardest right now. Is not apologizing for everything. It's literally not a big deal, right? But I feel like it is. I feel like I need to apologize all the friggin' time, and this is something that I struggle with. So you're not alone with that. But yeah, I hope that all of you have got a wonderful rest of your day. I hope you have a wonderful week. In Matrix, I really hope that we can find some serenity, man. I hate hearing that you're not doing well, and I mean I'd rather hear than not hear, right? I would rather you hit me up than not hit me up, right? But it sucks, I wish that you were doing good. I wish that this wasn't the case. If I had the power, I would take your pain away, bro. believe that. And it's just not, I'm not a wizard, unfortunately. Gonna start painting again because of me Spanx. I'm hoping it takes my mind off stuff. Dude, sorry I didn't paint, by the way, yesterday, guys. I completely said I would, and then we didn't. I had a bunch of stuff come up, and I should have come on here and let you guys know. But we will be painting today to make up for it. We're gonna have to adjust the stitch a little bit. I'm not moving my desk anymore, so maybe we'll move that stuff over here, or maybe we'll just rotate the camera that way. I'm not sure yet. But let's paint today. 2 p.m. Mountain Time, 4 p.m. Eastern. Ruby's mommy, good to see you. You know, someone told me this once, Ruby. I do that also. I have a friend who says it's like I apologize for existing. I think the wording that my friend used for me was it's like you are apologizing for the space you're taking up or something like that. Like you feel guilty for taking up the space, like for like existing in this space. And you know, they really hit the nail on the head with that. When you think about it in those terms, it's pretty ridiculous, right? Why am I apologizing for all this stuff? And that knowledge isn't enough to stop me from apologizing, but it is enough to start me on the path of understanding and fixing it. 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Got it. All right, guys. Much love. Shout out to the mods, the crew, everyone that was here, anyone new. I love you guys. You guys are the best crew a guy could have. This has been the Lifeboat with Captain Calhoun. See you guys later today,